Hey everybody, it's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Sorry about the title there, got messed up at the beginning. I don't know why I said weekend. It was supposed to be ice update for Wednesday. As you can tell, I'm kind of fighting some kind of cold. There's some bug going around everywhere. I'm sure a lot of you caught it. I was out skiing last week in Breckenridge, and for whatever reason that travel always seems to weaken my immune system. So I got something going on. Tonight's kind of the cold is catching up with me, but my voice is a little scratchy, so it's not your audio. It's actually my voice sounds much deeper than it normally does and a little scratchier. But it's okay. I can still talk. It just sounds a lot worse than it actually is. So let's get right to the details here. Here's our winter weather advisory tonight. Now, a lot of folks asked me about this earlier today. What about Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus County, York County? I would say there's a good chance we're going to see some ice in these areas right in here as well. And don't be surprised if overnight tonight and early tomorrow we get these counties added to the winter weather advisory. The reason these advisories are issued is based on the confidence in the amount of precip. So in this case, the confidence in the amount of ice. We expect ice to be down here, but we're not confident it's going to be at the level that would qualify for an advisory. But remember, you don't need an advisory to have slick spots. So I would just say be careful, especially the further north you go. You can see counties have been added all the way to the mountains. That's where the air is going to be locked in the coldest for longest. So it's likely we could see ice last up here until noon. That's why it goes to noon, even though down here I think it actually ends more closer to, I'd say, about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a close-up look at it. So Charlotte and Concord technically not in it, but trust me, there's going to be some ice in those locations as well. So let's focus on the radar here. We'll show you what's going on across the southeast. What's interesting is the atmosphere over us is incredibly dry right now. So the moisture coming in is not going to hit the ground initially. But as you know from past winter events, when you get dry air and moisture moving into it, it evaporates. This is why your body cools itself when it sweats. This is how cooling towers work. They have spray water. So this process is going to go on as this moisture moves in. So it'll take a while for the moisture to actually reach the ground, but that whole time that process is going on, the air is going to get colder over. So you can actually see this stuff right here. And really, that's the area where we're going to see the freezing drizzle. This is likely going to be rain when it gets here. The area down here that's moving up tonight, that is the area we'll watch for potentially the freezing drizzle. This main storm system is actually going to come in pretty warm because there's a warm front right in here, but this moisture is going to ride up and over it. High pressure is wedging in that cold air, so classic freezing rain setup here in the Carolinas. And you can see snow on the northern edge of this up in the Midwest again, another big storm for those areas. So let's talk about the dew points. I told you how dry it is. Look at these dew points. Now they've actually come up. At one point yesterday, dew points were below 0, which is true Arctic air. That's bone dry. But dew points are in the single digits and teens. This is why your skin's dry. You might have bloody nose. A lot of static charge. I mean, everything's staticky. That's because there's not enough moisture in the atmosphere. And when you heat it up in your house, it actually gets even drier. So this is the time of year where seems weird living in the southeast, but you actually would want to add some moisture to your house, a humidifier, to kind of help things out. Now temperatures, here's what I'm talking about. Look how cold it is already in some of these spots. It's already below freezing in Raleigh, and a lot of these locations where the skies are relatively clear, temperatures are close to the freezing mark already, below freezing in the mountains. So here we are, it's not even 10 o'clock yet. And we've got a lot of locations pretty close to the freezing mark. So as that moisture comes north tonight, you're going to see that warm front overrunning. And look right there, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. See the freezing drizzle there? Warm front is still down here, so this is where all our big time cold air, or warm air is, and where the bigger rains are. That's going to come in with warm air. So you can see this lasting through about, I don't know, about noon, and then it turns to just cold rain. Now look at the heavy rain that does move in. There might be a good rumble of thunder with that as well as it moves through. So let me show you that closer up, because that's the wide view. I like showing you closer up here. 2 o'clock in the morning, you can see the pink is going to be, it's not mixed, it's going to be, well, it's technically mixed, rain or freezing rain. It's not going to be snow or sleet. I doubt we'll see any sleet in here, or snow, but it wouldn't shock me. Sleet's definitely more likely than snow. By 5 a.m., you can see how it's spreading out. And notice the areas that aren't in the advisory, like Charlotte to Rock Hill to Monroe to Albemarle to Concord. This is why I say don't let your guard down in those areas, because potentially there's going to be a little bit of ice there. Now, this isn't going to be widespread ice. This isn't like crazy roads or bad everywhere. This is going to be like a bridge or an overpass or a certain patch of road. Think of this as like one of those black ice mornings where we have wet weather the night before and the temperature drops and there's patchy black ice all over and we get a lot of school delays. This is kind of the same setup. The ground is super cold right now because of the weather the last couple of days, and the air is going to be cold enough in the morning that this is just going to be a light glaze. So no power line or tree issues, primarily roads, bridges and overpasses, we always say. By 11 o'clock and noon, you can see it shuts down. So this is why, this is 10 a.m. Let me go back forward here. you can see about noon is when things kind of churn off. And you can see maybe a little patch up there, but that kind of lines up perfectly with our winter weather advisory. And as we go through the day, the rain chances actually diminish, but the temperature will go up. The heavy rain comes in Thursday morning. So we have ice for Wednesday morning and then rain for Thursday morning. So talk about a couple active days. And then this is a pretty strong cold front as well. On the back side, you could see briefly we had a little bit of snow as the cold air wraps back in Thursday night into Friday. And it looks like maybe not as cold as this past outbreak, but pretty chilly air moving in. So how much ice are we talking about? Well, we'll do this again real quickly. I'm going to go to noon. Again, that's nothing too crazy, right? You know, you see these totals like, Brad, it's no big deal. But it's ice, you know, and it's likely going to stick. So if we had really warm ground, if we were coming out of a warm period of 50s and 60s and this was going to happen, I probably wouldn't be worried at all. But because we're coming out of 3 days of temperatures barely cracking 40 for 3 days straight, we've had a lot of time close to or below freezing. So everything's cold. The ground temperatures are actually in the 30s. So it's not going to take a whole lot to cause some ice tomorrow. And I always like showing this example of why those bridges and overpasses freeze first. Ground temperatures are about 37 degrees. So roads that have ground underneath them tend to stay a little bit warm because that heat will transfer up and help keep them a little bit warmer. Not all of them, but most of them. Now, where you get into trouble, you get to these bridges and overpasses, and you've got 32-degree air, which then can wrap itself all the way around the road surface and cool this to the freezing marker below. So it chills it. It's like a refrigerator. And this is how we end up with ice on bridges and overpasses. And you can see that will be the issue tomorrow. Road is surrounded by air, causes it to freeze first, and so this is a primary example of that. So here's one of my favorite graphics. We always like to show this to kind of show you the timing of all this. Not expecting any power outages because it's not going to be heavy. No snow. Freezing rain is incredibly light, but because it might accumulate, I'll put it yellow. This is our biggest concern, hazardous travel. And you can see the timeline here, 2 a.m. to about 11 a.m. tomorrow, ending about noon. So that kind of lays out exactly what I expect to happen tomorrow morning. Now, before I chime off here, I'm going to try to save my voice for the 11. I'm not going to talk too long tonight, but I'm getting a lot of questions about the long range pattern, you know, because everybody that wants snow sees that this cold air is in place and is wondering when are we going to see snow. And while I don't have anything specific I can point you to, I can just tell you that this pattern with the polar vortex pushing down these troughs and the jet stream, the southern branch, getting active, which means storms, one of these is going to time out. And I really think next week is a pattern to watch. Sometime next week we could sync up, you know, one of these cold snaps. And I'm going to go through the weekend. We'll go through Monday, and I'm going to go through middle of next week, and I'm going to stop this right about Wednesday. If you look at this, this kind of gets oriented like this. This is usually a sign of low pressure somewhere in the southeast, mid-Atlantic, east coast. And there would be cold air in place here. So that Wednesday to next, let's say, Thursday time frame, certainly one to watch. And then again, I'll see how far I can go out here. I can't go out that far, but another big surge of moisture is going to swing in, not next Friday, but the next weekend. So late next week is something certainly to keep an eye on if you want. If you're wondering about winter weather into long range. So here's what you need to know. Nuts and bolts about tomorrow. Bridges and overpasses will be icy only for the morning hours. About 9, 10 o'clock, things will improve. That's why I expect a lot of school delays tomorrow. Very few cancellations. I can't rule them out because, you know, some of the decisions made by schools are more than just weather. It's a logistics thing. Once the school gets delayed, some of them have to cancel because of busing and other things. But primarily this will be a delay issue because you can wait out the cold temperatures and let it go up about 9, 10 o'clock. So that's the latest, about 9:40 in the evening. I'm going to check out early because my voice, I want to save it for the 11 o'clock. I will see you tonight at 11. If not, I will be posting updates tonight through tomorrow morning. If you're traveling early tomorrow, especially north and west of I-85, please be safe. Just take it easy. You could drive, but when you get to those bridges and overpasses, don't jerk the wheel, don't slam the brakes, just coast across and then continue on the other side because you never know. Those bridges and overpasses could be icy. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you at 11 o'clock.